Hello, moon babes, and welcome back. My name is Sydney Ward. I am an intuitive guide and energy healer, and I run a business called Anima Intuitive Wellness, where I put those gifts and tools to work. So, hi. Today, I want to talk about the new moon in Taurus. It's coming up here quick. And if I were going to give a headline for the new moon in Taurus, if this is the only thing you're going to listen to and watch is right now and then you're going to turn it off, what I would want to say is don't beat yourself up for feeling unmotivated. Instead, seek ways to stimulate your senses. That's kind of the theme of the little season that we're in right now. New moon in Taurus is a perfect time to build up momentum through patience and perseverance without strain. Big keywords there, without strain. I know for me, this season every year, I feel like is a real effort. It's really challenging for me. And that's often the, the reminder that I need to give myself permission to do things with ease. It's a time to move slowly, surely, sustainably forward while indulging your physical senses. Taurus is often associated with the bull, but I've also seen it associated with the elephant, and I love that. Taurus energy has a lot of power and emotional stability. It's calm and grounding. And even though the sign can sometimes be stubborn, averse to change, and has a reputation for being kind of languid, this earth sign holds a strong connection to nature, the physical senses, and earthly delights. So during the new moon in Taurus, you are invited to, first of all, love yourself, right? Instead of focusing on pouring compassion and love into other people, turn that inward for a little bit. Big issue during this time of year is recognizing and appreciating our own self-worth. One way to engage with this, to see are you living your worth, appreciating your worth and your values, is to jot down the top 5 things that you value most. What do you value most of all? And is that aligned with how you're making decisions and how you're living your life? So the second thing that this is a really good time to do, specifically new moon in Taurus, is to make a financial plan. And that can mean a lot of different things, but the idea here is that from the grounded stability of Taurus and the kind of opportunity to plant seeds that will really last and develop in the new moon, we can kind of lay the groundwork, lay the foundation, like I said, plant the seeds for greater financial development, for more saving, and things of that nature. So take some time, make a financial plan. The third thing is be sensual. And I want to pause right here and talk about sensual as a word. I think that often sensual has become a word that people use as a less explicit way of saying sexual. And while I wouldn't say that that's wrong, I think that really does the word sensual a disservice. So when I'm talking about the word sensual, what I mean is engaging with your physical senses, and really sinking into them. And another reason I want to address that specifically, that sensual and sexual, part of your sensuality may have a sexual nature, but that's not true for everyone. There are plenty of people who are asexual or demisexual, or who are in a place right now where sex is just not top of their list, or I don't know what a good way of saying it is, but they're focusing their energy on other things. And that's okay. Anywhere on that spectrum that you might be is totally fine. And whether or not your sexuality is this way or that, it has nothing to do, or doesn't have to have anything to do with getting sensual, right? So when I talk about be sensual, what I mean is Embrace creature comforts. Lead with your senses. Engage with things that kind of like titillate or excite your sense of taste, smell, sight, hearing, feeling, right? Like I think of drinking rich Spanish hot chocolate and curling up in a cashmere blanket with like really beautiful smelling candles and music that I love. Like to me, that is peak sensual experience. For you, it might look a little different. It looks a little bit different for everyone, but like I said, the big thing here is just to lead with your senses and engage with them. Now, in that line, my big invitation for folks for this new moon in Taurus is to create an altar. And altar, again, is a word. I'm getting into a lot of words today. As a word, altar can have some specific associations. And so what I want you to think about this quote unquote altar as, rather than necessarily being like a religious or even like a spiritual, it doesn't even have to be a spiritual thing, more of a seasonal thing, something to appreciate and enjoy. So some ways that could manifest in your home. I'll get into some suggestions for this particular altar that I would invite you to explore creating, but any altar in your home, bringing an altar space into your home, it can be anywhere in your house. So for example, I have like a little sewing machine. It's an old antique sewing machine with like the cool metal thing around the bottom, made with like this really beautiful wood. And that's a space in my home that serves as a small altar space. Also, the top of my piano, I have a spinet, and the top of my piano has a few small altar items on it. Also, in my basement, in my usual workspace, when you see my other videos where I have those sort of like hexagons behind me, that buffet or that sideboard that's behind me is like my main altar space in the house. And so whether it's big or small, it's really nice to have a dedicated space for seasonal or just in the moment things like flowers and stuff like that just feel good. So it could also be a space that rotates throughout the seasons, thinking of, or throughout the holidays. So thinking of like in the spring, having your, having flowers, or even like Valentine's, or, the seasonal flowers that are coming up. And then in the summer, maybe it's a little display of like vacation photos or shells from past vacations, stuff like that. Moving into the fall, maybe that's where you put a cornucopia and some of those more kind of earthy, fall style decorations, maybe even pumpkins. In the winter, it can be a place where you put holiday cards, like Christmas cards, Hanukkah cards, New Year's cards, and even like little signs that have a little remembrance or message for the season, right? Like that by itself is an altar. So stepping into what we can do for this new moon in Taurus altar, right? This could be an altar to the goddess Lakshmi, who can be kind of associated with Taurus. It could be to just the moon itself, to the sweet mother moon. It could be to your higher power. Whatever your spiritual system is oriented around, you could dedicate this space to connection with that source. Or it can just be an altar or a space for yourself, filling it with things that just speak to you and make you feel good and fill you with the essence of what you're trying to capture. So some things for new moon in Taurus that would be lovely for your altar. A sash or a cloth in a color that feels rich and earthy. An image or a statue of an elephant or a bull if you prefer. Fragrant flowers, especially for those of us that are a little bit trapped inside right now. And for those of us like me who live in parts of the country where flowers aren't really quite sprouting yet, treat yourself to a gorgeous bouquet of flowers. Incense or candles if you're favor that. A bowl of coins or a wad of cash, going back to that financial piece, that sort of manifestation piece. We keep kind of like a jar of coins that I'll pull out for this one. I know I have some fine jewelry, so any like really nice necklaces that maybe you don't always wear, or other adornments that are like really gorgeous and high quality that maybe you don't make it into your everyday wardrobe. A decadent treat like dark chocolate or chocolate covered cherries, or even like port wine. I think that's what I'm going to do. I love port wine, but I rarely ever have it, so I'm going to bring that. And then candles in colors that complements your other altar items, maybe red or purple or green. And if available, a bowl of fruit. So I have like bananas and oranges that I'm going to put out on my altar. So you could use all of these things. You could use some of these things. And in creating this particular altar, the purpose isn't to set it up in any particular way, but instead, as I mentioned, to lead with your senses and to notice, like to feel the things and smell the things and experience the things as you're placing them, and to let there be a flow that just feels good and beautiful to you, to let that beauty come forth. And then for the items that are consumable, whether edible or burnable or drinkable, every time it feels appropriate, you can light that incense or light that candle, take a piece of the chocolate, take a piece of fruit, let it be kind of a living altar, and that's like, if you're not doing anything else this new moon or the day after, take some time to do that, to create that space for yourself. And you can leave it up until the full moon. You can leave it up for the whole month, until the next new moon, replacing the flowers as needed. Let it be a living, changing part of your home, of your space. Yeah. So that's sort of this new moon specific wisdom, as you know, or if you don't, now you do. I also like to share some suggestions for things to do anytime the moon is in the sign that it's in. Anytime the moon is passing through a particular sign, it gives us a window or an opportunity or a little extra energy towards specific areas of our lives, as well as gives us some space to be conscientious of things that are less, not desirable, but just some like things where we take habits maybe too far to one side or the other. And for like, if you want to live, we'll do big headline first and then a bunch of little suggestions. If you want to live in sync with the moon, mark the days of the moon, the days the moon is in Taurus, as the days you review your finances, days you work in your garden or take care of your plants, days that you go through your closets, and days that you indulge in your senses in some way. So if you are looking for a little bit more flow with the moon and a little bit more engagement with natural cycles, mark those days and give yourself little reminders on the days when the moon is in Taurus for those things. Another way that I use this is if I'm not sure where I want to put my energy one day, or I'm trying to decide, should I do something today or tomorrow or next week, I'll look at where the moon is just to help guide me. Sometimes our lives don't get to sync up perfectly with the moon, and that's okay. But when we do have the option, knowing these things can help us harness that energy and engage with it in a like nature-based kind of way, a cyclical kind of way. So today I'm going to start with specifically things to be mindful of or things to kind of avoid. When the moon is in Taurus, be really mindful of getting bogged down in the same old, getting bogged down in routine. It can be really easy to like sit in that because it feels safe and comfortable, but it isn't necessarily like productive or nourishing in any way. Be mindful of projecting your priorities. Not everybody shares our values. This is like big permission for everyone. Don't bother trying to deep clean, like do stuff like that during moon and Taurus days. You'll likely run out of steam. And so just like, don't bother. Then you don't have to feel bad about it. It's not a great time to consider radical decisions or to make any radical decisions. In that same vein, not really a great day for breakups. It isn't as likely to stick. Some other things to be mindful of are materialism. If you're prone to it, overspending or overindulging, being mindful of where you're putting your resources and making sure that you're putting them where you actually want to, because it's kind of, Taurus days are kind of foundation days. Be aware of where you might be being stubborn. Be mindful of in that same vein, like my way or the highway type mindset, not super healthy, not super relational. And notice any, like if there are any feelings of possessiveness that are creeping into relationships. I know for me, it's like rarely in romantic relationships that I feel particularly possessive, more in like friendships. little confession there. So Moon and Taurus days are a good time to be kind of aware of some of those tendencies that we might harbor. On the more positive side, which is, I like ending with this because then we kind of get an up note. In your personal practice, Moon and Taurus days are a great day to visit a park or a garden, and especially to lie or walk barefoot in the grass. Great days to wear some of your finer things. I'm not exactly modeling that right now with my flannel, but probably tomorrow I'll wear a dress. It'll be my fancy dress day for the week. This is a really good time, in line with what we talked about for your ulcer, to buy or pick flowers, right? Especially really fragrant or textured, beautiful flowers. And be indulgent, be a little indulgent with yourself, and invest only in like really quality goods. As far as your home, we can work with the Taurus moon energy, working in your garden or setting that aside as time that you fertilize or otherwise tend to your plants in your home, making a delicious, highly sensory kind of meal. It's a good time to like Marie Kondo your stuff, going through everything like one by one and keeping what sparks joy and letting go of what doesn't. It's a good time to change up or refresh some of the soft furnishings, or like couches, linens, what are the fluffies called? Pillows. Oh my God. You guys get a peek at how my brain works. So like things like that to refresh that stuff in your home, or if you have seasonal or rotating decorations, like Moon and Taurus is a good time to switch those things out. It's also a good time to sign a contract for or move into a home that you want to be in long term. Doing it while the moon is in earthy, foundational, fixed Taurus is going to help you to achieve that desire. In relation to work and money, Moon and Taurus days are good days to ask for a raise or to look for more rewarding work. With your work, stick to your strengths and take it slow and steady. Now is not the time to like rush through things or to try anything drastic or radically new. You know, take measured, tested approaches for these days. And if there's something more drastic you want to explore, just wait a couple days. Spend time on creative or money-making projects. Open a savings or investment account. We kind of talked about with the new moon in Taurus, that being a great time. Anytime the moon is in Taurus is a good time to kind of engage with those financial foundation activities. Another fun thing to do is like put a big bill in your wallet, just so you feel kind of like abundant. It can feel really nice. With your relationships, this is going to be like our last little subcategory. It's a good time to deepen your sensual connection with someone that you love. Again, remembering that sensual doesn't have to mean sexual. It doesn't even have to be with a romantic partner. Like you and your close friends can do like a painting and wine class, or explore pottery, or go to a park or museum together, arrange flowers together, any of that kind of stuff that engages with your senses and helps bring you into deeper connection. It's a great day to get a luxurious treatment or to treat yourself to a DIY spa day. It's a good day to move in with a partner. Again, for the same reason that it's a good time to sign a contract or move into a home that you want to be in long term. So if it's not a partner you want long term, then different day. If you want a more cozy, traditional, stable, lifelong partnership, Moon in Taurus is a great day to get married and cement any kind of partnership. And it's also a really beautiful time. And this one's my favorite. So if you like throw out everything else, if you have the resources and time, it's a great time to buy or make beautiful gifts for others. So one thing I'm doing as my new moon in Taurus, as words, as part of my new moon in Taurus practice, I don't know why that was so hard to get out, is I'm putting together these little care packages for friends of mine and some people who have been really supportive of me and people who I really want to show my gratitude for, and they're very sensory. So there's like these gorgeous tarot and oracle cards and these little and some of them are like these watercolors or some like cute socks. I've made this sort of kind of this like witchy energy spray. That's the best way I know how to explain it right now. But it's like, it serves a lot of good purposes in helping move stagnant energy. So also part of that, moving through new moon in Taurus. And so I'm putting those together for some people that I really care about and who've been really supportive of me during a difficult time. So that's something too that's another way, right? When we talk about deepening your sensual connection with people, like that's one way to do it. So those are all the things. There was like a lot of information that came through for me for Taurus. And I'm not sure if that's because I've been doing more of these and working with the moon more, or if it's because Taurus is just spanking awesome. Could be a little bit of both. My rising sign is Taurus, so I'm a little biased. I hope that this has been informative. I hope that this has had useful information for you. If you do any of these things or any of this has inspired you to engage in a particular activity, either during the new moon in Taurus or anytime the moon is in Taurus, I would love to hear about it. Drop me a line in my email or find me on Instagram, Sydney_moves. I want to see what you're up to. So happy new moon, friends. Thank you so much for sharing a little bit of your time and your energy with me today. Be well.